one. It's a beautiful, beautiful morning. Got a brand new show coming to you. It's going to be really nice and a lot of fun. I've got the doctor waiting for me. We're going to have a great deep down discussion about her life. This young lady that I'm going to introduce next to you guys, amazing. She has a podcast show, also she does everything. Author. More importantly, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go right to it. I think I got, looks like, see a few people in here right now. Good morning, folks. Thank you for joining us early. Let's go ahead and find a doctor. Okay. We'll start it out. Let's see. Not yet. Give us a couple minutes. She's not in there yet, but we got a lot of people there. Let you guys know we got a great week we finished up. Thank you for making it through Monday through Friday. Here we are. We've got my birthday's coming up on the Monday coming up. But over the weekend, I'm going to do some special things. I'm going to try and see if I can find a few special guests. We're going to be rocking this weekend, I should say. Good morning. I see, looks like Tanya in the house. I see George in the house. Let's see who else is in there. We got a few more people. We're just waiting for the doctor. I might have to go out and go back in. Sometimes our guests don't see us yet. Oh, there she is. All right, hang it. Here we go. Let's rock and roll. Let's get the doctor in the house. Let's see. Get our microphone check. Well, just invite her in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready. Get set. Here we go. We're just waiting for her to come in. All right. It's going to be a great morning. It's early. It's a little gray here in Cali. So we'll see what's happening. It takes a few minutes for people to get into our show here. We're at Keep It 100 Podcast, your all-new podcast show with J.R. Robertson and Tarail McBee. We've made some big upgrades, as you guys probably know, if you've been looking, paying attention. Let's see where she's at. Still waiting for the doctor to get in there. We invited her in. Just working a little slow today. Sometimes, it's like that. How you guys doing today? Hopefully you're having a great, great Friday. I'm looking forward to, after this show, I'm going to make a heck of a breakfast, make some pancakes, some good food out there. Trying to stay healthy. Still waiting for the doctor. Hold on a second. She hasn't hit it in there yet. Let's try it one more time. Waiting. We're waiting. Good morning.
Hey.
How are we?
I'm great. Are you keeping it 100?
Always, girl. You know me.
I'm in a Tinder trap. What's new?
I know. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna step back for a moment, and I'm gonna go on a professional binge for just a moment because you are a doctor.
Okay.
But I know you a little, over the last couple of weeks. We talked. You have a podcast show. You have all these different things working. So I'm gonna stop for a moment.
Okay.
Invite you in. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, and then I'm gonna go backwards. And I'm going to list some things that you do that no one knows about. I did my homework on you, so I'm ready. That background is hot. What is that in the background there? I see.
Are you talking about my fireplace?
Oh, look at you.
It's a stainless steel fireplace I had built. I love it. My great friend John Forbes, he builds all of my crazy ideas.
Okay. Are we giving him a commercial right now? We can give him a commercial.
Hey, listen, he all he wants to do is hike. It's all I can do to get him to do a job for me. He wants to be outside.
Oh, he's like me.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and tell us, doctor, about yourself. Announce yourself for people that don't know who you are. Okay.
Well, my name's Dr. Billy J. Minton. I live in Kingsport, Tennessee, and I'm always in a Tinder trap with my Tinder pups. And they're my family, my little babies. And I'm an author and a songwriter. And I used to have a lot of businesses. I kind of went on a business diet, and I'm down to 2 businesses now. And I love what I do. I see patients by private appointment. I provide medication counseling and disease management to adults and children. So basically what I do is I try to get patients on the least amount of medication for the maximum benefit. I write an evaluation, a plan, and it's kind of like if you go to a lawyer, you can do everything they tell you or you don't have to. It's up to you. It's just an unbiased professional opinion. It's kind of like if you had somebody come over, clean out your garage, I clean out your health.
Oh God, that's great.
So I've got a certification as a trainer, but I don't train people. I just have it for the information because I like to exercise. But basically what I do every day is I write songs and books, and I see patients by appointment, and I own an insurance company, and I have the most wonderful agent. She's been with me over 15 years, my niece. So, she is the one that writes policies. Of course, I bring in a lot of great clients, but my best use is not writing policies because all of that stuff changes all the time as far as websites and this and that. So the software system. So I'm better useful bringing in clients and also writing my books and songs. And I'm very focused on that. I've used my brainiac side for so many years. I'm ready to be tapped into my creative side.
Can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
You know what I noticed that's really important? You, in just your conversation, just in the opening, that you realize where your strong side is, and you actually got out of your own way, like some of us don't do sometimes, and you allowed your niece to take care of that. How were you able to do that? I mean, when did you realize that you have so much talent?
I don't know that I have so much talent. One of my friends makes a joke and says that I don't have enough lives to live all the things that I want to do.
Okay.
My mom says I make things look easy, but really, it's a lot of hard work. At one time I had 6 companies, and I don't want to keep doing so much anymore. So I sold the apartments I owned. I sold my storage malls. I had 2 of those companies with a business partner. And I've sold all the companies that I had with my business partner. And we sold them not because we weren't happy as business partners, but because we were tired of doing so much.
Okay.
So I think you get to a point where you want things to be so creative and less doing. Whatever I do, I want it to be productive. I don't want to be just doing.
Right.
So I'm enjoying writing books and songs. My dad was an architect, and he wrote a lot of songs, and he used to play. I mean, he knew all kinds of people when he was living. He used to work with, he knew Patsy Cline, Jim Reeves. They used to call Willie Nelson the little boy with the rag around his head. He'd peck on the door. My dad would tell me stories, and he'd say, "It's Willie, can I come in?" And, I'd say, "God, Dad, I can't believe you're telling me this kind of story." He knew Johnny Cash. And the Carter family fold is
wait. Johnny Cash, one of my favorites.
Yeah. My dad knew a lot of people. And, I grew up hearing all these names and all that stuff. I've never been a starstruck person.
Right.
Because we're all just people, and we do different things, and we all have a contribution to the world. And so, I've never been a starstruck person. But, while I'm thinking about it, I want to say a couple of things.
Sure.
There's a circle of friends that I'm still getting to know, and I want to give them a shout out because I think it's really important to support each other.
Yes.
And, people might think, well, maybe you guys are in the honeymoon phase. No, to me, they're going to always be my friends. So I want to give a big shout out to John and Tanya. John, it's Jan, not John. Jan, my friend. And Tanya Carlson.
Love those guys.
Listen, if it hadn't been, I'm just going to tell you.
Okay.
First of all, Jan's song, Call Me, Call Me, Call Me. I mean, that is smooth.
Yes.
And it makes you want to pick up a phone and call somebody.
Oh, yeah.
And Tanya, Find a Place. Wow.
That's the Roberta Flack of this era.
She almost sounds like Donna Summer, too.
Yes.
I wanted to put on roller skates and skate couples with somebody when I heard her singing that. The 70s, that's my favorite era.
I used to roller skate. You know that. I come from that era.
Me too.
All right.
The 70s, that's my favorite.
You gonna give up my age, girl?
Hey, me too. I need to watch it. Okay. And I'll tell you somebody else I want to give a big shout out to, Crystal Taylor.
Oh yes. Hey, Crystal.
She's a great person, and she just put out her Memphis Bound CD.
Yes.
And Carl Blue Wise, what a great friend.
Yes.
He's a great producer. If it hadn't been for him, I wouldn't know any of those people.
If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't know any of you guys. You know that?
Well, I've got a couple more people I want to mention, but before I do, since we're on that topic, I've got some really great people that you might, I have to ask them, but they may be willing to do an interview. My friend Doug Davidson on The Young and the Restless.
Yes.
I've got a friend that's a very famous author, all kinds of friends, but I'll get you hooked up. Not that you need my help, but I want to also give a shout out to Elaine Elizabeth Presley of Graceland.
Yes.
Let me tell you, she's such a great person, resourceful, friendly.
Did you watch that interview that I did with her?
Absolutely.
And all of them, actually, I don't know if you've seen all the interviews. Well, you mentioned that you've seen all the interviews.
Yes, I have. I've seen them all, and I've talked to all of them, and I just absolutely love them all. And, they are such a great group of people, and I think it's so important that people support each other, right. The emotional support, being friends, and wanting the best for each other. I feel so elated to be accepted in this, I call it this little musician group. It's just, I feel so honored.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna stop you for 1 second. I'm just gonna let you know, it's just, it's kind of magical how we all met, and where we are right now, and how everyone is coming into kind of playing their own part in this. But at the same time, it's like all these angels lined up at the right time. And I've known Carl from another friend, Facebook friend, who is Rua, which is an amazing singer from Romania. That's how I actually met Carl. And then one day I just happened to be going through my Rolodex of people, of Facebook people that I knew, and I followed Carl because of music. And I asked him to come on the show. And I'm going to let you go in from there, because this is all about you right now. But go ahead.
I'm a total music lover, and I call Carl Blue Wise. I call him Blue, and some people call him Carl, and he is really great to me, and he's just a fabulous producer. He knows what a song needs, and I trust him when it comes to guiding you in a song. And, another person that I think I need to give a shout out to is Andrea Wilcox. She is with our local. Well, Andrea Wilcox, she'd be a great person for you to interview. So intelligent. She's with our local Chamber of Commerce, and she's an author. She's got all these awards and degrees. I can't even name them all. I don't even want to try. It's like alphabet soup. She wrote the foreword in my book, Blue Ridge Moments.
Really?
And I've got my books laying here, but she wrote the forewords in there, and she also was my editor. And she came to me and she said, Billy, listen, you didn't just write one book, you've written 2 books. I wrote 600 pages. It was supposed to be one book. So that's why we had Blue Ridge Moments Volume 1 and Volume 2.
Wow.
This book right here, this is Volume 1. And let me tell you what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I'm going to collect some addresses, all these friends I just mentioned, and you too. And I'm going to send you guys a copy of my books.
Oh, I would love it. I would definitely love it. Thank you very much. We're freezing. Are you there?
I'm here.
Froze for a second.
I'm here.
Okay, yeah, we froze for a second. I'm gonna take us down the road for just a second. So I want to get a little information out for you. So let me go into. I'm gonna let you take over in just a moment. Older projects. So you mentioned to me the other day, we were chatting, kind of talking about your life history and things of that nature. You talked to me about when you were a little kid, your parents, you were so busy, you had a paper route and things. So I want to talk about how you started and all that kind of stuff. Can you elaborate on that for me? Talk about how you grew up.
I grew up with the best parents. I could not have ordered them better off of a menu. God blessed me. And when I was 8 years old, my parents came home, and I told my dad that I had a paper route, and he just put his hands over his head, and he was like, what? And I think he thought, he was going to be delivering newspapers. And I showed my parents that I was responsible, and they would help. My dad would help me deliver newspapers because he wanted to, not because he needed to, especially on Sunday and Wednesdays when they were thick. But I had over 100 and some customers. I always had a bag of money. I was always giving my sisters money and buying them things. My parents would try to do things for me, and I'd tell them, no, I don't need any money. I've already done this. Like if I wanted to go skating or wherever I wanted to go. I kept that paper out till I was 17 years old, and it taught me about. It taught me about life. It taught me. I fell in love with the elderly. It taught me about responsibility, money. I saw people die that were old. It taught me about life, death. That paper route. Of course, I wouldn't recommend it now for a young child, but it was classic. It was like watching that show on TV where that little boy grows up. And what's the name of the show? He's got dark hair, and he grows up the years where he grows up with Winnie. And I can't remember the name of the show. Maybe somebody will tell us, but I've watched it many times. But it was just like that, simple neighborhood, happy, loving parents, great sisters. My dad, they had 5 girls. I was the 4th in the 5. Okay. And then at 15, I became a DJ. And I thought I was going to
wait. A DJ?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
So I'm in high school, okay? I play every sport at high school. I'm a DJ. I deliver newspapers. And on Saturday mornings, we used to sell donuts as a fundraiser and do car washes. So when I had to be on the radio station, they'd make me do a shift from 6 a.m. to noon. So I couldn't do some of the fundraisers. So all my sorority sisters would come down to the station and bring me donuts and visit with me while I was on the air. I mean,
what kind of DJ were you?
Contemporary Christian.
Okay.
And listen, Amy Grant, there was all these great singers that I grew up playing. I got to do live shows. There would be people next to me in the control room. And, I did the whole thing. I was trained, and I thought I was going to be an actor.
I can see that.
And I ended up doing medicine because I had a sister that took a lot of medicine to stay alive growing up. Okay. And when I was a little kid, I told my parents, I said, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to understand, why does she have to take this medicine? What is this about?
Right. Okay. That's
so
amazing.
I was really torn between medicine and having a career in entertainment.
What month were you born?
I was born in February, the day after Valentine's.
Okay, because you remind me of a Gemini with all the different traits.
Really? I don't know. I'm one of these people. I like to have fun, and I think being happy is fun.
Okay.
And I just naturally have a positive attitude. My mom has one, and I'm just like my mother. I have her exact personality: laugh, funny, be friends with people. Lighthearted, forgiving. My mom taught me all of that. That's why I was able to write those books. Everything that I learned came from my parents.
Okay. Let me ask you this question. Okay, so here we are. We're coming up now. We're going to the middle part of our question number 2, which is really simple.
Okay.
Current projects you're working on, and then let's talk about the pandemic. What is, how has that changed your life? What have you learned from that?
Okay.
We'll get into that, but what's your current projects?
Well, the most important thing to me are my ministries, and it's kind of hard to explain. My books are called Blue Ridge Moments, Volume 1 and 2. And the way my books came about, when I was on that paper route at 8 years old, I don't know why, but I would come home every day. I didn't know I was a writer. Okay. I would come home and write down a quote.
Okay.
And my own personal quotes. And I did that from age 8 until I still do it now. And I looked up one day and I had right under 1,500 quotes.
Wow.
I know. And my mom goes, Billy, why don't you write a book? And I was like, I don't want to write a book. And she was like, but you need to write a book. And I was like, I wouldn't know what to write. She said, you've got to be kidding me. And I said, I don't know what to write. So Jesse is married to my nephew's son, Chad, and she is like my daughter to me. I love her dearly. We work together. She's like my right arm, and Chad is too. And she said, my family calls me Bill Bill. And she said, Bill, what I want you to do is take each quote, write what it means to you, a story. And I did that, and I got into it. And then I wrote a question at the end of the story. And then the Lord told me, you will not publish this book until every story has a Bible verse. Because I just had a Bible verse with some of them. He said, no, this book's not going out until every story's got a Bible verse. So it was very labor intense. And I could only choose about 200 out of those 1,500 quotes. I could write 7 more books, but I don't know that I'm going to do that. So I've got Blue Ridge Moments, Volume 1 and 2. And Volume 1 is subtitled, Your Life is Only as Good as Your Connection with Jesus. Volume 2 is subtitled, Celebrating Footsteps of a God-Dependent Life. Wow. So these books are my heart.
Wow.
So then I did
It says a lot about yourself, these books.
They were really just something I had to get out. It wasn't to sell a book. I guess it was a self-indulgence with my Lord, and I wanted to do it, and I wanted to do it. My mom asked me to do it. So then I did a spinoff. I did these children's books. It's called Blue Ridge Tender Pups. And the way I got the name Blue and Ridge, I have 2 Yorkies named Blue and Ridge. Okay. And I could never have a pet. I had allergies my whole life, and I prayed about it, and God told me, get a Yorkie. So I got Blue and Ridge. I knew their names the minute I saw their face. Blue's my favorite color, and Ridge, I live in a subdivision named Ridgefields.
Okay.
And I live near the Blue Ridge Mountains, sort of. So I'll show you the book cover of one of them.
Oh, sure.
Blue Ridge Tender Pups. This is Love the Seasons.
Oh,
and then I did another one called Blue Ridge Tender Pups Meet Hobo Wilson Christmas Eve.
Okay.
Hobo Wilson was a real person. I've
Really?
been blessed to have these interesting people cross my path. Okay. I think the Lord has crossed my path with these people, and it's really been very soulful experiences for me. So the children's series, I just wrote my 3rd one. It's not been published yet because the illustrator just finished it. My editor has it. So I plan on writing even more children's books. So you're asking me what my projects are now. I've got a novel that I've got going on right now, and it's totally different from anything I've ever written. And one of my best friends is doing a lot of the research, and I told her I wanted her to be a co-author, and she's still trying to decide if she wants to do that. And so she's doing research like you wouldn't believe. And it's going to be such a different book, and people are going to go, wow, this is so different. It's so interesting, and it's a time book. It's got a time element. I love things that have to do with time.
That's amazing. Let me ask you, go ahead. Keep going.
The other thing that I could tell you off of this Blue Ridge Moments is I have a radio show that I've been doing for years. It's called Blue Ridge Moments. Okay. And it's just, I take excerpts from my book, and it's to put a spring in people's step. So it doesn't advertise anything. It just, it's just something, it's a message that maybe somebody might hear it and make a better choice that day.
Right. Okay. That's great.
So Mom and I both have a podcast.
That's what I'll get to. Yes. What's this podcast?
Okay. With my mom's podcast, what it was at first was just a self-indulgent conversation with my mother. I want to capture all of the things I can capture with her because she's so wise. She's never told me wrong about anything in my entire life. My mother is right, always. And so I go to her for advice, and we pray together, and she is the person I go to. And so this podcast, I started out just us having conversations. I use Buzzsprout as my platform. So even though the name of it's called Evelyn's Words of Wisdom, because her name's Evelyn, if you want to go directly to it, it would be evelynminton.buzzsprout.com. Okay. So you can go on there, and it lists every single episode. We just did our 50th episode last night.
Did you really? Congratulations.
Yes, we did. And I loved it. And, my mom has really warmed up. Now she's talking more. At first, she was making me do the talking. And she's laughing, and she's relaxed. And she, yesterday, or a few episodes back, she said, now, Billy, I want you to start introducing us like a real show. So now she makes me say, "Hey, welcome to Evelyn's Words of Wisdom."
You know, can I stop you for a second? I gotta
Yeah.
tell you something. I'm gonna make you laugh right now.
Okay.
Hey, so you said your mother's never told you, steered you the wrong way,
Right.
and she's always right. Can I tell you?
Yeah.
I was raised with 7 aunts. My mom has 7 sisters, okay, and 1 brother. I was raised out in the suburbs of Chicago with 7 aunts, my mom, and I have 4 sisters, okay, but at the time I had 3, and we gained a sister. And so women are always right. No matter if they're wrong, they're right. I learned that one a long time ago.
Yeah.
They're always
My
right.
my nephew.
Are you still there? We froze for a second. We'll be coming back in just a second. We froze for just a moment, guys. Stick with us. Sometimes Instagram does that where you freeze for a second. Give us 1 second. We'll come back in. Meanwhile, we do have an exciting weekend for you guys. Should be coming back. We are trying to come back in. Sounds like it.
Are you there?
I am there. Sometimes,
Okay.
sometimes that happens. It's Instagram.
Hey, maybe we need a pause once in a while.
Hey,
Here's some pause. PAWS. You want to meet my tender pups?
let's see him.
Here's
Let's see him
Paige.
there. Oh,
This is Paige.
they're beautiful.
She's a princess.
Beautiful.
She's
Yes.
a princess. Here's Fox.
Okay.
Fox is my athlete.
Okay.
She's so pretty. I mean,
What?
she's pretty. And then here's Ridge.
That is amazing.
Ridge is my little.
Okay.
He's a talker. And then here's Mr. Blue. Mr. Blue is a kisser.
Okay.
He's a kisser.
Oh, that's amazing.
They like to be.
let me
They
ask
like
you-
to be where Mama is.
Oh, guaranteed. Guaranteed. Let me ask you a question. Family. You have daughters, sons? I don't know.
I raised 2 children. Stephanie, she is my niece/daughter.
Okay.
She is grown and has 2 children, beautiful children, Tristan and Riley. And then there's Chad. He's married to Jesse.
Okay.
Chad is my nephew/son. I couldn't love him more if he was my own son, popped him out of my own body. But Chad has 2 wonderful children with Jesse, Ben and Kendall. And Ben and Kendall are very young. They're like 2.5 and 1.5. And we have a ball. I mean, my family, we love. That's all we do is love. My favorite hobby in the world is sharing.
Okay.
I want to share everything I do, whether it's, I can't cook a meal without sharing it.
So let me ask another. Are you divorced, married?
I have escaped marriage my entire life, and let me tell you why.
Wait a minute. No, wait. What did you say? You did what?
I have escaped marriage my entire life. I want to tell you why.
Okay.
I truly believe that I could be a great wife. I do.
Okay.
But some of the people that I met in my life, there's a story in one of my books about the only guy I really ever loved. And it's I think it's in the 2nd book.
Okay.
And it goes into details. We met and he was 6 years older than me.
Okay.
I was 19, he was 26. And, he was just, sowing his oats, seeing all these people. And he came to me one day, he said, I want to apologize. He said, you're the kind of girl you take home to your mother. And I was studying for an organic chemistry test that night. And I was just, I was so happy that he came by. And, the day he moved to Chicago and I was moving to Atlanta.
Okay.
I was living in Johnson City, which is 30 minutes from Kingsport, my hometown. I was going to ETSU to do my undergraduate. And I was getting ready to move to Atlanta to go to Mercer. That's where I went to school to get my doctorate. And he moved to Chicago, but he didn't stay there long. And I thought he was in Chicago the whole time I was in Atlanta. And when they'd play Chicago news and weather, I'd be like, I wonder what he's doing. And I even tried to find him. Back then, there weren't cell phones. I couldn't find him. So the funny, ironic thing is, he ended up getting married when I was taking my state board, and he was in Nashville, and so was I.
Oh, wow.
He still lives there.
Wow.
He's a great guy. We're still friends. And sadly, his wife just passed away about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I was friends with both of them. And then, so he was somebody, I don't know how to explain it. Even though I was only 19, it was an affair of the heart. It was not a physical relationship, but we were so bonded. And he was just he was my type of guy. And when I say my type of guy, very dapper, a little bit on the preppy side, but not to the point where, I mean, he was just Mr. Fun. He laughed all the time. He loved to have fun, super intelligent. He could build anything, just a great carpenter. Everything I broke and destroyed, he could fix it. My favorite tool is a hammer. Believe me, if I can't fix it, it gets a hammer. And he could fix anything. So there's not one compared to him. And I know that sounds horrible for me. I was asked to be married 3 times, and I said no 3 times. And
what?
I felt like I was going to settle.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
And I thought, how can I get married if it's not the love of my life?
Gotcha. Okay.
That I view. People think it's probably about him, and it might be how I feel. I don't about.
Let me ask you a question. All these years ago, and I understand you got the animals. The kids are no longer in the house. They're older and they're gone. What's your hobbies now? What do you know? I mean,
I'm very active. I love anything. I love tennis, golf, ride a bicycle, run, lift weights, light weights. I'm not, just staying toned and fit.
Okay.
I love to cook. People say that when they pull in my driveway, they hear a grinding noise because I've always got my blender going. I make all kinds of stuff.
I'm a good cook also. I'm an actual chef. I can actually be a chef.
Wow.
But
well, I'm self-made. My mom taught me the foundation, and I just built on it. But I love to cook because I love to share food with people. And, growing up, I had some allergies. And then when I became about 23, I discovered what my true allergies were. And I had some food allergies too. So when you talk about this pandemic thing, there's not really a lot that's changed for me. I've always been a big hand washer. I'm not saying it's not a big deal and it's not real. It's just not really affected me. I mean, I do things like I've always done. Okay. And I'm not saying people shouldn't wear a mask, but I've never put one on. I mean, I just do what I do.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't get sick.
The reason is because of my relationship with God. God tells me, you don't need that mask. I just don't wear it. I don't get close to people and make them uncomfortable.
Right.
But, and I don't really do a lot of hugging anyway, because I don't like to wear people's cologne. Then I have to go home, or their smoke. I have to go home, take a shower. Smoke really bothers me. I don't like smoking. So anyway, people know I love them. I don't have to hug them. They know I love them.
Right.
But the real me wants to hug. The me that has the allergy says no thank you.
Let me ask you another question. All right. We froze for just a second, so as soon as we unfreeze.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Are you still there?
I'm here.
Sometimes we're freezing a little bit here. I guess we both have so much to say, and it's an early Friday and all that. And I want to thank you for joining and all that. But I got this next question I have for you.
Okay.
The next one after the next one is going to be about the future and what happens. But what if you were to see yourself as a younger girl coming up right now, meeting you in this moment, what would you tell a younger self? Would you do anything different? I mean, how would you talk to yourself?
I would do some things different and some things exactly the same. The first thing I would tell them is always put God first.
Okay.
Because let me tell you, God is first in my life, but he hasn't always been. And let me tell you why. I've been saved since I was a young child and baptized. But here's what I mean when I say he's not always been first. When I was chasing that paper, that degree, that was a 9 or 10 year deal. And let me tell you something. When you get a decimal point wrong, you killed the patient. There wasn't any,
Right.
well, it's half right.
Right.
It's wrong or right. I'm not a black or white person. And in school, everything was black and white. You killed the patient. You didn't kill the patient. So anyway,
Right.
so I wish that I had not, I was the queen of worry in school about, oh, I got a test. And I was always ready, but I worried a lot. And you know what? I don't worry, period. I don't worry about anything. When God is in your every moment, I live hour to hour. I don't live day to day. I live hour to hour, sometimes 5 minutes to 5 minutes, 1 second to 1 second. I live in daytime compartments. God is first. I wish when I was in school those 10 years that even though I was a saved Christian, I was putting my school work first. That wasn't right. I should have put God first. And that's what I would tell somebody, especially somebody trying to start a career or going to school or a job. Keep God first.
Okay. You also have a ministry you mentioned.
Yes. Now, I don't have a church, but I do preach a lot of funerals. And my Blue Ridge Moments books are my ministries. My radio show is I do it every week. It's my ministry. And I don't advertise anything. I just do it for people. I want to help people reach salvation. I want people to know the Lord. And it's just a message I give to put a spring in someone's step. And it's a pleasure to do it.
Okay. Now, let me ask this question. If someone's trying to get a hold of you, then how do they get a hold of you? Do you have Facebook? Do you have?
I have Facebook, Instagram, BlueRidgeMoments.com is my author website.
Okay.
And you know what? That's the first website I've ever liked that I've ever had. I've got 2 other websites I've got to redesign. But the lady that did my author website did an amazing job. She lives in St. Thomas.
Oh, really?
And, yeah,
she's
a cool person.
Wow.
And she designed it for me, and I love it. And you can go there, and it'll tell more about what I do. And then it has a place where you can put your email in there.
So next question for you. You named about like 6 things that you do currently, and you're downsizing, businesses and things of that nature. What's next for you? What's your future look like?
I think I'm going to continue to write songs and books and probably movies.
Okay.
I've been talking to some people about those things, and they say that my ideas are really very good and creative, and they'd like to be a part of it. So there's people that want to open those doors with me, and they have the ability to do that. So if they like my ideas, that's great. If they don't, great. I just want to do whatever God wants me to do every day.
Okay. And as far as now, like, 'cause the big thing, what I noticed with a lot of interviews and interviewers and interviewees, they always ask about your personal life and things of that nature. I always keep that kind of, up to the individual himself. But as far as future, are you dating? Are you seeing people, or what do you do?
I'm single, and I go to work, and I've got great friends, best friends. I love my life because I'm in love with everything and married to nothing.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, when I used to own a storage facility, here's how I rented every storage unit. If they called me, it got rented, or either they didn't really want a storage unit. Let me tell you why I would answer the phone. I had that phone forwarded to my cell phone, and the reason I would answer it is because when I told them, they'd say, well, is there a contract? Because some places want you to get into a contract.
Right.
I say, look, I don't want you to marry me. I don't want to marry you. We'll date forever. It's month to month. Now, that sounds shallow as far as on a personal level, but let me explain something to you. When I say I'm in love with everything and married to nothing, here's what I mean. Yes, I could be married. I'm definitely, and I'm not one of these people that can't do commitments. That's not me at all.
Right.
It's just, like I told you before, I never wanted to walk down a wedding aisle because it didn't feel right. And I didn't want to be one of those people that got a divorce.
Right.
Every person that asked me to marry them got divorced. I'm so glad it wasn't me. Plus, with kids, I don't like broken homes.
Uh-huh.
And this way I can be a mother to many people. Chad and Stephanie really depend on me.
Okay.
I'm a mother, and my little puppies, their mother. So I've got 6 kids, and then Jesse's like my daughter. And I've got some really strong people in my life, some real strong friends,
Mm-hmm.
people that really support me emotionally in every sense of the word. And, you know, my business partner, when we had all those 6 companies together, she and I, if one of us had 2 quarters, the other person got 1. We never had a problem with money.
Okay, gotcha.
The only reason we wanted to sell those companies is because we were tired of doing so much. We were tired of property taxes.
Yes. Yes.
There's nothing like writing books and songs and movies.
Right, there you go. I think
So,
I think I think that's where you and I have a connection, is that I'm very creative also, and I'm just now tapping into the rest of, that part of my life. It being the pandemic and all the things that are happening right now, I think we all were forced to do something different.
yes.
Really,
And,
really.
you know, the drug knowledge that I have, I can tell you, I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's just great knowledge to have, even if you didn't practice, just for everyday life. It's just valuable information. And it made me learn so many things. And I look back when I was younger at things that I had seen and things that had happened, and it all came together and made sense because there was a time before I was a doctor and then the time when I got my PharmD degree. So, uh, you know, it put all the pieces together. But then there's this creative side of me, and the Lord has spoken to me and said, look, I want you to continue your ministries and do your creative side. I still schedule patients by appointment only, but I don't see a ton of patients right now because I'm doing my ministries, and seeing my patients is also part of my ministry. So, you know, I've learned to let go. I macro manage. I don't micromanage. Every day I get daily reports, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual reports from my niece Sunshine that runs my insurance company. And she does a great job. She doesn't need me interfering.
Oh, that's wonderful.
She's smart. She's a great agent. She's beautiful, compassionate. What more could you ask for?
Oh, there you go. Guaranteed. Now you're living in what part of Tennessee? You're
It's called East Tennessee, and we're on the opposite side of,
I think we froze for a second again.
even though
Give us a couple seconds. Okay. We're back. We just froze for a second. Give it a couple minutes, guys. We're freezing for a second.
I guess we needed a refresh.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? We have our own software, so we're going to be changing up some things coming up.
I guess
Due
we
to that,
needed a
that kind of
refresh,
freezing.
JR.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yes.
what you heard me say last. I live in the Tri-Cities area. It's called Kingsport. There's 2 other
Okay.
cities, Johnson City, Bristol, and
Okay.
Kingsport. That's why they call it the Tri-Cities. We're East Tennessee. I'm about 100 miles from Knoxville. This is a
Oh,
great
okay.
area.
Okay.
The cost of living's
So,
great. The mountains are great. The mountains protect us from tornadoes. I mean, it's a
oh,
beautiful,
that's
I live
perfect.
right on the river.
Oh God. Well, I was talking to you the other day, and you walked out to the backyard,
Yep.
and it's kind of interesting because I try not to talk to guests because I don't want to know that much. And I remember when we were talking about putting you on the show, you're wanting to give me a whole bunch of information, which was great, because you need to prepare for your guests. That's very important. And I had to tell you though, it's like one of the things about why this show is so important in the way it's working right now, and is that we do everything so raw where I don't want to know that much about the guest. My nephew doesn't want to know that much about his
Right.
guest, and like everything breaks off. Like we've had record label people that have taken us in like as family because we're
That's
so
great.
raw. And if you watch all the shows as you say you did, you might have kind of caught some things where you've seen we've been live in the studio with some of the label owners,
It's
and
awesome.
it's been crazy, crazy.
Mom and I do our podcast live. When I go to her home, I walk in and she'll say, "What are we going to talk about today?" And I say, "I have no idea." I mean, that's what we do.
So that podcast that you and your mom that you put together, how long has that been in effect?
Well, we've just done 50, so about 50 days.
Hey, you want to hear something funny? When we open up, we're on Monday, which is interesting, is my birthday. But then on I'll remember white M&Ms, white roses.
Gotcha.
That's my thing. But really important. On the 9th is our 2nd-month anniversary for Keep It 100 podcast on
Cool.
Instagram.
Cool.
And the funny thing is, we've broken our own records. And after the 1-month anniversary, I was talking to my nephew who we put this together, put this show together, and he says to me, he says, "Are we going to have an anniversary like every month?" Because he's in that millennial, but over that, and they don't understand, guys like me, women like yourself, we're like proud, when we put something together and it's successful, when
Right.
it's successful.
Yeah.
We're probably over 50,000 viewers or right there, in less than 2 months, and it's crazy because I was talking to another friend of mine who I interviewed, who has this photography business, and he has like 70,000 viewers.
Wow.
And I asked him, I says, how long did it take you to get to that point? 70,000 viewers. And he's like 2 years. And I was like, well, do you realize that we have over 50,000 viewers where we're at, and it's been like 2 months. And he kind of looked at me, and I looked at him.
You guys are doing it right.
So we hope to do more than that, but more importantly, this show, our mission, so you understand what our mission is at this show, is this to help you find your future fans.
Right.
And what's interesting about it too, we've got movie producers, studios, we've got music academies, we have all these people that follow Hollywood Elite, some of the top Hollywood people throughout. And then we have just regular people that own record labels that are just looking for some talent, or when it comes to like authors and things like that. So, and then I put together some new memberships into Keep It 100 podcast so that I can help some people that don't have the direction, or say they have a product and it's not moving the way it's supposed to. So that's coming up. So I'm just like you. I'm trying to do as much as I can. And it's not about the money, but, a lot of people say it is always about the money. But, I just want to stretch out, and I want to help as many people as possible. At the same time, help ourselves, because that's important. With that being said, what else do you want to do that you haven't done yet? There's a lot of things that I want to do. I told you I want to own an island, and I want to.
You did tell me that. You did.
I want to invite friends over and cook. My next thing that I want to do, and I'm going to let you answer after this, is I really want to change this show up, and I want to be able to cook, because that's my favorite thing. I want to invite people in where I have kind of like my favorite friends that every day that come by and hang out with me.
Right.
And I want to cook for them in the mornings and afternoons, and
Gotcha.
I want to do a spot. All of a sudden, I want to do a podcast, and I'll be talking to someone in India or something of that sort. Meanwhile, my friends are tasting my food, and we're just having a great time.
Absolutely. The past 20 years, even though, or more than 20 years, I work for myself. People think when you work for yourself, oh, it's a piece of cake. You work yourself sick.
Oh, no.
And I used to have a treadmill desk, and I can remember doing 12 miles of accounting for all those 6 companies. I went home tired.
Oh, yeah.
I can remember getting an escort to go out of the building at 12 midnight.
Oh, my God, yeah.
But the difference now is, I'm not saying I didn't enjoy any of those things, but it was just too much doing. Now I don't want to say everything I'm doing so self-indulgent, but even me loving people and helping people and doing God's work to me is self-indulgent because that's what I love. So I'm really doing what I love, and I love to be creative, and I love to share, and I love to meet good people. I think good people know good people, and all the people that I mentioned before, our circle of friends, just like Elaine Elizabeth Presley, she is focusing her life centered around Graceland, which I think is wonderful. She wants to just do everything she can for her dad's legacy. And I respect that. I love these people in this musical circle. They've been so good to me and supportive of each other's career and, you know, helping each other out and giving each other honest opinions about things, and the kindness, the friendship. That's what life is about to me right now. And my pets, you know, I went for a long time and never had a pet. And now I've got 4 little Yorkies. The 2 girls were an accident. The first 2 was planned. Blue and Ridge were planned. Fox and Paige. I was like, I'm not taking that little girl without her sister because they were together. I said, I was like, I'll take both or none. And so they both, I don't know life without them. These 4, they're my Tinder pups because they keep me in a Tinder trap.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
I love it.
Would you take on more if you had a chance?
If I had the right facility, I would have 100 dogs because dogs are the sweetest thing in the whole world. But 4 is all I can handle because I cook for them. I cook them chicken. I boil their chicken every week or every however when it runs out. What I do is I boil it and I let it cool and I shred it up and I flatten it down in these Ziploc gallon bags, stack it up in the freezer. I get 1 bag out at a time. They eat fresh chicken. I cut up carrots for them. They eat their Science Diet kibbles from the vet. Right. And they do like their powdered Romano cheese. Let me tell you, these dogs, they would eat their weight in cheese if I would let them. They would.
That's funny. So I got another question for you because we probably got about about 5 minutes or so before Instagram tells us that we have to go. Okay. I feel like it's like you're sitting back, you got the fireplace going on. It's one of those days. Right now it's gray in California. I'm probably about 30 minutes out of close to like Palm Springs area and all that. But it's interesting. What's been going on with the world. What's your view on all this? I'm going to touch on a few things right now because I have all types of friends, and I'm sure you have all types of friends.
Sure.
What was you being in the ministry? What was your feeling about this gentleman that just got actually had someone put his knee on his neck, and what's happening with the family? What was your feeling on that?
My feeling is it's beyond shameful. I don't have the words to express the sadness of what's happened to the people in this world, especially people that we call police officers. Now, let me tell you, there's some great police officers.
Right.
And I respect them. And then it's like any other profession. You've got a few bad apples.
Right.
And people that get racist, and for whatever reason, there's all kinds of racism in my mind. Oh, yeah, and, sure. I think people should love people. And it sounds silly, but when you've had someone very close in your family pass away, we'll get into that another time. It's too sad to talk about. Right. And I don't want to get into that. But I will tell you this. Everyone should learn what love means, what forgiveness means, and how to share. And all these riots and things that are breaking out, this is my honest opinion. I think people should be able to do peaceful protests. But here's what I don't like. There's nothing peaceful about destroying people's life savings. Even that gentleman's brother got on the news and said, look, my brother wouldn't want this. This is not going to bring him back. Right. Throwing a brick in a horse's face and making it bleed. I believe that some of these people, they put ads out to pay them. I don't know what the term is, but I'm just going to make up my own term. They put ads and they say, would you like to be a hired protester or something? Right. They actually pay these people to go out all this damage.
No, it's true. You're 100% true.
Are you there?
Yeah, I am. No, you hit right on. With
I just think that the protests are fine if they're done peacefully, but people getting hurt and killed,
right.
it's terrible. And let me tell you, this stuff is not going to stop. Uh, there's going to be another disease. It's not when is this going to be over. It's just people are going to have to learn how to. Our life is not the same. It's never been the same since 9/11.
Yeah, yeah. You hit that right on the head.
And you just have to be willing to, evolve with the changes and try to do your best to make your contribution from where you're at. Like right now, one of my friends, Diana Harshbarger, she's running for Congress. And a lot of people have asked me, why have you never wanted to run for an office? I don't know. It's just not my thing right now. I think I just don't want to get in that arena. And she's willing to do it. And I can help through her without having to be her.
Right.
And I'm very proud of Diana because she is going to help make a lot of changes. And when you see somebody that's in the local community that wants to run for an office like that and make a difference, if you get a bunch of those people, then it's like little drops of water in the ocean. When you put them all together, you have an ocean.
There you go. We've got about a minute left. So is there anyone that you want to give thanks to or shout out to, or?
Everybody I mentioned, and my friends, and my business partner and best friend Ricky, she has really been there for me many years. Ricky, her sister Kim, her